back, guys. Another week here of Let's Talk About This Way. Going back virtual. We had our time in the studio, and now we're connecting with a guest a little bit away from Arizona here. But before we start the episode here, want to make sure we give a shout out to the band Hannah, who does the intro and outro music for the podcast. Appreciate you guys a ton. Give them a listen. You can find them on their Instagram. Always have the details after the episode. They're on Spotify, Bandcamp, you name it, they're on it. A couple young guys out there in Simi Valley. Appreciate you guys. And here we go. This episode, as you can see, a couple Pokemon cards graded up there on the top shelf. We're going to talk about Pokemon quite a bit, but more so about eBay, live selling, auction, which brings my guest here, Chris. And Chris, I want to know, is the last name Weedle like the Pokemon, or is it pronounced another way?
It's pronounced Widell, but
Okay.
a lot of people call me Weedle.
I love it, bro. I love the Weedle's Warehouse, man. Well, Chris, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Chris does right now live selling on eBay. It's someone that I came across when I started getting back into Pokemon collecting. It has been a lot of fun, and his streams are awesome. So I'm going to make sure in the detailed descriptions that you guys will see his link to some of his live shows and his Instagram, so you guys can catch him on that. Since I know for sure Pokemon's been booming, so this is going to be the guy to hit up here. Chris, welcome to the show, man. Hope you haven't been having a good week here. Something we like to do in the beginning is just give a little intro to you, a little bit of your background and your upbringing, so people can paint a little bit of a better picture on who you are, okay? So take it away, Chris. Who is Chris Widell?
For sure, man. Appreciate you having me on. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, like you said, Chris Widell. I am a streamer on the eBay Live platform. I run a online TCG business, and I've been doing this since the late 2020, early 2021. So yeah, going on a little over 4 years now, selling TCG cards. I've been on the eBay Live platform for a little over 2 years now. In fact, this past weekend, we celebrated the second year anniversary live from Card Party here in Tampa, Florida. So I kind of started off just selling singles on eBay in early 2021. So singles, that's like a raw single card as opposed to like a graded card. You might see some of those in the background. But some of like the duplicates that I would pick up from just collecting over the years, I listed them on eBay in early 2021 because that was like in the middle of the pandemic. Everything was pretty much on lockdown. Everyone was kind of hanging around low key, trying to find something to do. And I just started listing singles, and it was booming at the time. The hobby, the Pokemon card hobby, was actually booming at the time. And those singles were selling really, really quick. And so I found out pretty quickly that was like, wow, this might be something that I could scale, that I can grow. And it was a hobby for the first year and a half, 2 years before I realized that the income that I was making from it was catching up with the income that I was taking in from my full-time job. And so kind of started to look at it as potential career to substitute my career at the time, and eventually built up enough runway to where I could leave my full-time job and sell cards full-time, which I did in June of 2023. So I've been doing this full-time for little over 2 years now.
Nice, man. We're going to have a lot to deep dive in on this, man. One, because I think a lot of people would look at you and truly say, how amazing would it be to do something they're very passionate about, right? There's a lot of Pokemon collectors out here that look at streamers like yourself to be like, oh, they wish they could be in a position like that. Now, before we dive into more of the details of that, Chris, I want to know, and I'm sure people would like to hear, before you started doing this, what were you doing career-wise? What was your job?
Yeah, so I was a retail pharmacist. I worked for a little grocery chain that's specific to down here in Florida and really along the East Coast. But I did that for a little over 10 years. I was a
Wow.
pharmacy manager. And yeah, eventually got to a point where I saw myself an opportunity to go full-time cards, and I went with it.
Gotcha. So when you went to school, can I ask you this, for someone who's in that position, did you need a college degree at all?
Yeah, so in order to become a pharmacist, you would typically require a 4-year undergrad degree, and then you go into pharmacy school, which is another 4 years. So typically you would see anywhere from, it's usually 8 to 10 years is the typical time that you would spend in school before being licensed as a pharmacist.
Wow, man. So you really had a lot of time put in, not just career-wise, but school as well to become a pharmacist.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what we'd say here, probably at least, if you're telling me school-wise in total is about 8 to 10 years, and then you were doing this for about another 10. So you're almost looking at about 20 years doing this, really.
Well, I was licensed pharmacist. I graduated in 2012.
Okay.
So, yeah, I did it for about 10 years, full-time pharmacist. And so, yeah, it was only a little over 10 years.
Okay. But I
But
mean, for this,
you're considering, oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry,
So,
for the school and the prep.
yeah, taking into consideration academia, all the time spent in school. Yeah, exactly. About
That's
20
that's
years.
that's a big chunk of life, man. What drew you into wanting to be a pharmacist at the time when you were going to school?
Yeah, I've always pictured myself as wanting to be inside the healthcare field, but not necessarily dealing with all the blood and guts that you might see if you were a doctor,
Oof, I'm with you.
working
I
in the
can't do blood.
ER, or like a surgeon, that something like that. So
Yeah.
I wanted to be hands on, wanted to be in a position where I could help people and serve my community, but a pharmacist, I don't know, it kind of drew me in as it was actually in high school. There was one of my teachers that kind of stepped in and kind of noticed that I was advanced in science. It was my chemistry teacher, and kind of just gave me a little bit of encouragement to seek out a career that would be centered around like health and science, and that I would be able to use my strengths for. And so I kind of went with it and checked out a few opportunities in the healthcare field, and pharmacy was one of them, and it really interested me at the time. So I kind of went with it at that point.
Very cool, man. Were you at that time just as a hobby collecting anything, collecting Pokemon cards or cards of some sort?
So at that time, I mean, in high school, I mean, the money that I would get in, I would use on video games. I was a
Yeah.
huge gamer. So I wasn't in cards at that point in time. I did a lot of baseball cards as a kid growing up, and a little bit of Pokemon growing up. But in the high school years, it was more so video games. Every spare change I had was all in video games. And I didn't even get back into the cards until it was like right around late 2020, when everybody was on lockdown, like I mentioned before. Picked up a Hidden Fates ETB, kind of drew me back in. Even in 2016, I started to see a lot of ads after like Pokemon Go came out on the if you
Mm.
remember that, on the iPhone.
Oh, you betcha, man. I'm running all around town trying to get myself some Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that, 2016 is when that released, and I downloaded it. I was, like, probably one of the first people to enter that app, and I started seeing a lot more Pokemon-related things on my phone after, downloading that app, and then one of them was a Pokemon TCG. I think it was XY Evolutions that had released at the time, and I was following it along pretty good bit. I never actually bought a pack, though. It kinda just drew me back in, but, I kind of watched it from a distance for a couple years, and then
Hmm.
I eventually purchased my first Elite Trainer box, which was Hidden Fates at the time, and it was all all downhill from there.
Downhill the money we're spending for these cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Well, very cool. So, very much like you, my friend, high school, absolute gamer. I still game quite a bit today. Love video
Oh yeah,
games. I like to tell people, especially my friends around, that we're in this very interesting time, right? Where like our parents, they may not understand video games as much, but we got to grow up with it and be in this timeline of how video games are advancing more and more. And so I think it's going to be interesting in the next coming years how it's going to be for the future generation seeing us maybe still game later on in our life. You know what I mean? Like we
yeah,
weren't really privy to that growing up because we had maybe the time, Super Nintendo, Atari, but our parents weren't really touching that. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
really become generational too, in the same way that I can connect with my little nephews over Pokemon cards. I can also connect with them over video games. Like even the other day, I was playing with my nephews on Mario Kart, because
Yeah.
they've continued that game line for years, and it's still awesome. I love going in and playing all the newest Mario Karts. And so it's really cool in a way that you can connect with these younger generations with a game that you grew up with. And it's the same way with Pokemon cards.
Yeah, 1,000%. Speaking to that, I got to ask you, did you have any of your original cards growing up when you first started? We're talking about base set. Did you keep those in good condition? Because I'll tell you, my friend, I was the worst with that. And I still hit myself in the head quite a bit when I see some of those base set cards and the value when I say, why didn't I put them in a binder? I literally had
Oh
them in
yeah.
stacks like this. Found them in my garage not too long ago. Shout out to my sister who found them. Oh, brother, torn. We had a Charizard card,
Oh
just
no.
absolutely destroyed.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I still I have a bunch of my baseball cards and they're all in shambles. Probably got washed in my jean pocket a few times. None of the Pokemon cards though I still have from my original collection. It was this one binder that's kind of in shambles right now that I had a few cards, Pokemon cards in growing up, but it's all baseball cards. I still have it, a lot of the baseball cards, but
Yeah.
none of the Pokemon.
Oh, brother, I'm telling you, man. Who would have known? But so we talked about right a little early on you going being a pharmacist. Obviously, COVID had quite a bit to do with a lot of stuff that ended up booming. You know, this was interesting because it makes sense for Pokemon cards to boom around there. For me, I'm just getting into this maybe within like the last 6 months, really, right? Started getting really back into it. Now, during COVID lockdown, obviously very limited to social interaction. This is the time where media really pops up with streamers of all types. I didn't even think more about eBay, but interesting. Um, Pokemon cards are booming. Now, I had talked to a friend, and I wanted your insight on this. So it's good that you mentioned the whole COVID thing. I had thought someone had told me that they thought a lot of it also stemmed around interests of very popular icons, such as let's talk about the Paul brothers and how I think it's Logan or Jake who's super invested into it, has himself a nice piece of a couple million in one Charizard that he got a grade 10 on, right? He was telling me, my buddy, that he felt a lot of the Pokemon craze also fueled into that, seeing someone who's a very popular icon online get into it. And so now everyone's kind of following along that path, but let me ask you this. Sorry. Do you think that kind of action by someone so big attributed to the craze of it?
It's hard to say what exactly was the catalyst around 2020, but it's definitely part of it because he did a huge first edition base set first edition box break, and there were millions of views that went on YouTube with that. So a lot of people attribute much of the boom of 2020 to him and that first edition box break that he did and subsequent because he did like one or two after that.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's hard to say when these booms come around what exactly the catalyst is, and a lot of people will try to point their fingers and say, "Oh, it was this in particular. It was this." Of course, 2016 there was also a Pokemon boom, and a lot of people attribute that to the Pokemon Go app
Mm.
being released. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of awareness gets drawn into Pokemon as a whole anytime they have these big apps that come out. If you're familiar with Pokemon Pocket, that's the latest release. It's
Okay.
a app where you can actually collect the cards digitally on your iPhone, and it's huge. And that actually released right around a little bit before November of last year, which, if you think back on the timeline of English set releases, was right before Surging Sparks. And if
Hmm.
you look at the market data with booster boxes, modern English booster boxes, you'll see that they really started to spike after the release of Surging Sparks. And so these days, a lot of people will look back and they'll attribute the current boom that we are in. They'll say that, oh, it's due to the Pokemon Pocket app being released last year and a lot of awareness being generated as a result of that app. It's kind of hard to say what the catalyst is in each one of the Pokemon booms, but I mean, Logan Paul was definitely a catalyst for 2020. I'm not saying it's like the reason why Pokemon got big then, but it
Right.
was it was one of the big reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I do think he has a factor to it, but it's good to get some insight and more so too on the releases of certain sets. For people out there who are just getting new to Pokemon, I'm sure you probably heard of some of the sets coming out. So Surging Sparks is one of my favorites. I like that one a lot. And then right now we're in Destin Rivals, but we'll hop into that in Black and White coming up soon. But so that being said, we kind of talked about when the boom, when we're kind of thinking what factor to it. Now, 2019 comes around, right? 2020 COVID time. How did that impact your job as a pharmacist?
Oh man, things got real busy, real chaotic, working 50, 60 hours a week. A lot of new immunizations because COVID vaccine hit the scene and everything was
Mm.
in a shortage. At first, it was only healthcare workers that would have access to it. And then they eventually opened up the criteria so that additional people could be vaccinated. And it was only elderly people over 65 or if you had a comorbidity. And so as the supply started to increase, I mean, the demand was at an all-time high I mean, from day one. So a lot of people trying to proverbially bang down the door of the pharmacy or their nearest healthcare office just to try to get the COVID vaccine, and so people lining up for man for days. I mean, not days at a time, but multiple days. You would have just lines and lines of people in the pharmacy waiting to get vaccinated, and it was just all day, every day, from the day that, or from the first 15 minutes that you stop, and then at 2 hours after closing the pharmacy, you would still, I would still be vaccinating anywhere from 80 to 150 people a day, which is, I mean, it doesn't really sound like too much, but when you're staffed with only yourself and then two other people that are helping you out, it can make for a really long and stressful day, just constantly being on, talking to people, not getting a lunch break. But that went on for the course, I mean, over a year. They slowly expanded the criteria so that more people would have access to the vaccine, and they didn't necessarily meet the demand as far as the amount of supply.
Right.
And so it was just in constant demand for a little bit over a year, and just getting day after day, getting worn thin. It was a really busy time and chaotic time.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. You were labeled an essential worker. You're an essential worker. You gotta meet up. Make sure that these vaccines are being passed along to the right people. Now, this is interesting, Chris. You're telling me you were putting in all these hours, but this was also around the time when you started messing around with Pokemon cards, right? Talk to me.
Oh yeah.
How did you have time for that? How did you have time for that? Because if you're like anyone else, and you're probably not, because I mean, look at this amazing channel you got going on now, so you got something more. But brother, I talk about all the time, when you got a busy workday, especially when you're working long hours, you're not only just I mean, you're physically drained, but you're also mentally drained. Like there are
Oh yeah.
days where I can't imagine during that time what you're feeling, but there are days where I come home now and I'm like, man, I just want to just sit down. I don't really want to talk to anyone. Like obviously my wife, my best friend, but otherwise maybe I'm just gonna zone out. Something that's just gonna keep my mind, like TV is really easy for us, right?
Oh yeah.
How did you have time for Pokemon cards after a shift like that? Didn't you just want to go to bed? Didn't you just want to call it a day?
Yeah, so it started out just collecting, and I mean, cards are the perfect thing for when you get home from a long, stressful day. I mean, to the whole experience of opening a pack, if you're listening and you've never done it before, it kind of takes everything that's going on inside your current environment, your current life, takes everything, all the noise, and you're focused on which card you're going to be pulling next. And if there's one pack in particular, and one card in particular that you're chasing, I mean, that's the only thing that you're thinking about in that moment when you're opening that pack. And so that was what I would do many of those days when I would come home and just be super stressed out, and I had worked a 12-hour day. I would the set at the time that I was chasing cards from was called Vivid Voltage. I'm a big Pikachu fan, as you can see. Got some Pikachu up there in the
Yeah.
background, but he's the face of the franchise for Vivid Voltage. One of the big chase cards is in there, and I just had a huge case of those sleeved boosters, and I would just rip packs when I would get home from work, turn on some music, kind of tune everything else out, and rip a few packs and put that collection together. So like that's how I started out, was just ripping packs and collecting, putting binders together, master sets together. I didn't really get deep into like the selling aspect for like the first, probably like the first year or so. I was just mainly a collector, and the selling that I did was only selling just the duplicates that I would pick up from opening packs. So it wasn't
Mm.
really busy. I could come home from a long day and just collect, put some cards in a binder, and then call it a day. It didn't really pick up with the selling until probably a year after. So that would be probably like right around 2022.
When you started selling the dupes.
No, when I started ramping up the sales.
Oh, okay,
So
okay, okay. Gotcha.
yeah, I picked up a distributor. I applied. I created my own business, applied to the English distributors, and I landed one, which is actually pretty tough. If you're an online exclusive business, it's pretty tough because a lot of times they want to see applications only from brick and mortar hobby shops.
Mm.
So at the time, it was pretty hard to get in with one, but I did. And so anytime you do that, as a business, you have to be purchasing or try to be, you have to attempt to purchase a good amount from that distributor in order to build a good business relationship. And anytime you purchase a good amount, you of course have to sell it all if you're going to stay in business. And so it can get pretty busy. And that's what I was referring to at the time when things started picking up and the wheels got going and I started selling, putting more of an effort into selling and a lot more time into selling. That was around a year after I got back into it.
Got you. Okay. So we started off originally with selling some of the dupes. Biz started
Yep.
ramping up, and then you found yourself a distributor.
Yep.
My question to you is, what was it? If there's a specific moment, if not, it's okay. But was there a specific moment where you felt in the middle of the ramping up period that, yeah, I'm gonna do this? Like, was there a specific? Can you remember maybe a specific card you sold, or a specific moment where you're just like, yeah, yeah, we're going all in. We're gonna do this. We're gonna get a distributor, and we're gonna give this a real shot.
I don't think there was any specific moment. There might have been a few moments that kind of came together to lead me to that decision. There was one moment that I did when vending. I did my first show
Mm-hmm.
and selling cards, like taking all my collection and bringing it to a show and just kind of testing the waters to see what that was like. I remember after the show having a pretty good amount of sales and being like, "Oh wow, that was only a weekend, 2 days that I was selling cards, and I'm leaving here with all this cash." And that was one of the moments I was like, "Oh wow, I might be able to do this full time."
Wow. Okay. Gotcha. And so when you connected with a distributor, you mentioned it's hard, right? Because a lot of people,
Yeah, yeah.
um, uh, the distributors want to see a brick and mortar, which makes sense. It shows kind of like the serious legitness of some individual. What do you think attributed to your successful pairing with the distributor? Like, if you could give someone some advice on someone who might be in a similar place where you were at that time, what was your key to finding a distributor that would give you a shot?
So resilience, you keep on taking your shot. There's a list of distributors on the Pokemon Center website. You can go through and they'll have all of their phone numbers listed. So what I would do is send out my or check their emails, get in touch with them with their email and just let them know that I'm interested in coming on board as a new business. A lot of them will have applications on their website. So you can just keep firing away applications every couple months. Call them, make sure that they got your application. Just be real vigilant about it, and eventually you might work your way in with one.
Love it. Did you have a period in time when you were first starting this? I mean, when you landed a distributor, that's pretty huge, right? Did you ever have any doubts during that process where you're kind of like, whoa, what am I doing? Are we really doing this? Did you have
So
that
one of
going
the
on at all?
things, yeah, absolutely. One of the things that you have to do when you first get a distributor is slowly build up your allocations, which means you have to be spending a good amount on the product. So not necessarily Pokemon. You need to branch out into some of the other TCGs in order to increase your spend. So other TCGs like Digimon is what I was doing at the time. Another one was Dragon Ball Super. There are other IPs, other TCGs that aren't necessarily as popular, but they do have quite a bit of product that you could order. And that's what I was doing at the time with my first distributor, and got to a point where I was ordering so much that one of the sets that Bandai produced at the time with Digimon got way overprinted, and they said, "Okay, you ordered this much. Here you go. Here's this much," which was ended up being like $30,000 worth of booster boxes for a set that wasn't very popular. So
Yeah.
was not selling on the open market for a price that I could like profit on at the time. But it was something where I knew I needed to maintain that business relationship with my distributor, and so I just had to bite the bullet and say, okay, I will accept all of the product that I ordered. I pre-ordered like 6 months ago, and so I kind of got stuck with this huge amount of booster boxes that were very, very tough to sell. And at that point, I was like, oh wow, if this is the way it's gonna go. This might be pretty rough. I'm not sure if I could do it, but I don't know. You find a way to
Yeah.
work through it. You find a way to increase the eyes on your products if you're selling on your own website. ramp up the marketing to get those boxes out the door and keep the cash flow going so that you can keep going forward.
Man, I don't know about you, but when I hear 30K, and I'm sure others are probably listening or watching saying, hearing 30K, seeing you say 30K, boy, does my heart drop. That's a lot of money, you know. Obviously, this is
Well,
what it takes to work with a distributor. But at this time when you were doing this, I know things are ramping up. Did you still have your job as a pharmacist, or at that point did you already leave?
I did. I still was working full
Wow.
time at that point.
What do you feel helped you have the space, the ability mentally to navigate from your full-time job to something you were starting to build at the very start with, again, the distributor ramping up? That's a lot. That's a lot to take on, I feel like, Chris. What helped you navigate through that and manage that effectively?
So at the time, I was very involved in a Discord, actually two or three. So I had a really big growing network of other people, other guys in the hobby that were also selling cards, not necessarily full time, but there were two or three in there that were selling cards full time. They have their own YouTube channels, and they had been doing so for quite a bit of time.
Hmm.
So two or three of them I really look up to, and I could kind of reach out to if I needed to in any situation, and just to like get some advice on how they would approach a situation. A lot of them had already been through similar scenarios and can kind of coach me through and let me know of ways that I could like get over the different speed bumps with distribution and during the lag periods where people aren't necessarily buying cards as much. So it was really big just having that network of other like-minded TCG sellers that I could go to and just kind of pick their brains on different things.
I love that, man. I love the idea of a community in something like this, because in something where you're building a name for yourself, I feel like it could feel lonely, but you know you've got those people there in the Discord to reach out to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love that, man. So you're ramping this up. We're at this point now. You're ramping this up. You got to your distributor. You had this sense of, oh my God, okay, 30,000 in on these Digimon cards have been printed to the ground, of what you could say, right? Um,
Oh yeah.
when did, now you had your eBay, you had your eBay site, or your own page, and you got your own song going through that. When did you start doing the live streams like you're doing today? When did that start?
So that was actually right around when eBay Live first initiated the platform, which was June of 2023. They started it a couple months before then, but that was when I got onboarded.
Okay.
And I think it was as a result of just like my year over year growth with just like the my sales quantity was such that at the time they had what was on eBay what was called growth advisors. I think just like personnel from eBay that worked for eBay that would kind of reach out to you and be like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm aware of your pretty good sales growth year over year. If you have any questions on how to kind of like scale your business or just anything involved with like selling on the eBay platform, feel free to reach out." And so I connected with one, and just somehow in the conversation that we had, they mentioned that the eBay Live platform was coming up. It was going to be something implemented in the near future, and I just kind of like, oh yeah, let me get in if I can. And I just I guess I got lucky at the time
Yeah.
because not a whole lot of people were able to get in at the time. It was they were kind of limiting the amount of sellers that they were onboarding. So I guess it was kind of like a right place, right time sort of thing. But they connected me with some of the people that were building the beta platform at the time, and gave me the opportunity to live stream on there. So I realized it was a really big opportunity, and that was kind of the catalyst for leaving my full time job and
Mm.
pursuing the live streaming full time.
Do you ever miss it? Do you ever miss being a pharmacist? No.
No, not at all.
I love it. I love it that, and I'm imagining you love what you're doing right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just
God, man.
working for myself, not setting my own hours, and then the fact that I mean, I love what I do, and I mean, I've heard it a bunch of times before I did it for myself. But like when they say like when you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm not sure, or I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is, but
Yeah.
it's true. Like working with cards, and I can put in 12 hour days of what other people might consider work, but it doesn't feel like work at all. It's just like it's still like a hobby, and it's awesome.
Can I say that's one of the biggest things that drew me to your channel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and my question was going to be to you, and I'm going to tell you from an outsider's perspective, which I think people would agree on why we tune back into it to watch your streams. You do give this legitimate presence, I feel, of like an authentic, I really love this stuff, I enjoy it, I like ripping these packs, I like, getting big pulls for people, right? I'm gonna reference other streaming sites like Whatnot, right? Like sometimes other sellers can feel like it's just very salesy, and we got to bid, which okay, everyone works in every different way, which is fine. But I just feel like that when I'm watching your streams, it's just you're not really pushing that. You're there. People know exactly what they're signing up for when they watch streams, when they're auctioning off, like, and they're connecting with you. People are talking to you. Hey, how you doing? Like it's a very authentic vibe. So my question to you is, what do you feel makes you unique in what you do, and how and why you have people returning to watch your stuff and buy from you?
I can't really pinpoint. I don't know. I have to think about that one. But if it were just off the top of my head, just creating this sort of environment where people can come in and kind of just chill and kick their feet back and, catch a vibe, talk with others, talk with the person that's streaming, just like a chill environment. Like you mentioned, Whatnot, a lot of the streamers will have this intense atmosphere where they're yelling and trying to
Mm-hmm.
get the hype up and get the crowd going kind of beat. But that's just not my energy at the end of the day. And I don't know. I feel like I want to bring myself in to the live streams and kind of be authentic and treat people as if they're actually I don't know, act, treat people as a human and not just like another transaction, another purchase. I mean, a lot of the community aspect that I did as a full-time pharmacist is the same thing with the streams. Like you have this community of individuals, they're kind of local to the area, but you have the regulars that come in and you kind of just build this repertoire with them. You get to talk about different things, talk about their life on a day-to-day basis. And it's the same way with the regulars that have been coming into the streams over the past like 2 years. You
Yeah.
get to know like their background and the things that they do, what the things that they collect on a weekly basis. And so a lot of the people I really enjoy communicating with and really enjoy connecting with and finding out the things that they've been getting into and collecting. And so the first, I don't know, year or so while I was building up that sort of community, building up those relationships with the different individuals, I realized that was a sort of environment that I wanted to cater to long term. Just a chill kind of vibe where people could come in and know that they're not going to get yelled at or pushed into buying anything, where they could just kind of relax and get some information about like the new sets that are releasing, the new chase cards that are going to be included in those sets, and I don't know, just connect with other people, other collectors in the hobby, and chase some cards.
That's why we come back to watch you. That's why we buy from you. And that experience is felt. So if you've ever questioned it, just know you have created that atmosphere. And
I appreciate it, man. That means a lot.
yeah, as a buyer, like I really appreciate that. And I think it goes a long way when you really are trying to build a strong sense of community like that. So it is very cool. And so for anyone that's watching or hearing the episode, seriously, if you're a Pokemon fan, there's some One Piece going on too. There's other things going on. Check them out. It's really cool. Um, Okay, so here's a fun question I want to know from you, Chris. You're just getting into streaming. How did your first show go? Did it go as smooth, or were there a couple hiccups?
First show, I actually started out on Whatnot.
Oh, okay.
First show, man, oh man, that was tough. I remember the first time clicking or trying to click, it took a couple hours for me to actually click that button to go live. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I'm usually not one to go in front of a camera. I'm usually not one to kind of put myself out there and
Okay.
say, "Hey, I'm a 30 something grown ass man. Here's my Pokemon cards. Look at these guys." So it felt kind of weird at the time, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. It was really tough to for the first couple of streams to actually like put myself out there and go live, and it took a lot to overcome that. but it's just one of those things. It's like a muscle. You keep working it over time, and it gets easier.
Do you think there are people? Because I like to watch some of these streams, so I'll randomly look around too. Like I'll look at
Yeah.
whatnot, and with your channel right on eBay. Do you think? I feel there's a lot more people trying to do this nowadays, right? Like they see it, they see someone like you, and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome, this is fun, I want to get into it," and they start trying to do it, and they quickly phase out of it. One, I hear it's money, and two, it's not going anywhere, right? What do you think is the biggest problem, or what is the biggest hurdle that might, I don't know, let me rephrase this. What do you think is probably the biggest issue right now for people who are just starting off doing eBay or whatnot? What do you feel is like the biggest thing that you've seen discourages them from wanting to continue?
A big thing is the product of the times, and that the fact that we are booming right now, that brings in a lot of new sellers that say, "Oh, I can do this," because a lot of these sets that release, it is easy money if you are able to get it even at like MSRP. It's something that you could make a pretty good chunk of change with if you even if you just go live for a couple hours. And it's a blessing and it's a curse because you're going to have trouble obtaining that product at a price, with consistency, at a price that you can actually make money off of,
Hmm.
especially during these times. People consider this time that we're in a boom, so I will refer to it as that. So anytime you're booming, it's going to be tough to find all these new set releases for wholesale level pricing, which is really what you need in order to maintain the profits that it's going to take to for longevity. So a lot of these new streamers, they'll come in and they might make a few bucks, like selling a few cards in their personal collection. But once they sell through their inventory, it's like, okay, what do I do now? What do I buy? And they look around, and there's not really anything that they can buy because it's all already overpriced, or it's at market price or a little bit higher. And when you take into consideration the platform fees from Whatnot, which is like 10%, 12%,
Yeah.
you got to factor that into your bottom line. And there's not a whole lot of room to profit if you don't have access to wholesale distribution. So a lot of people that are getting into the selling platforms, they don't have access to wholesale distribution. They might have like a connection at a local game store, but even local game stores aren't really getting allocated a whole lot of product right now. So distributors will get thousands and thousands of boxes from the Pokemon company, and they'll distribute it out to the different local card shops and different online exclusives like myself. But the piece of the pie right now is being split in so many directions. You'll see your local Ace Hardware, your local Bass Pro Shop. They got Pokemon cards because it's such a quick cash grab. It's such easy money that during these boom times, all these new businesses will ask for it from the distributors. And since they've had this account set up for several years, they'll go ahead and give them the product that would have normally been given to a local card shop or an online seller like myself. And so, like I said, the same piece of the pie with the with all these booster boxes, thousands and thousands, it's getting distributed, it's getting cut so many different ways that even like these big local card shops are not getting as many boxes as they were, say, about a year ago.
Hmm.
And so if one of these online sellers that just started like a week ago is relying on even like their local card shop, they're probably getting a box at their local card shop for a pretty good price where they can make a few bucks off of it. They're not going to be able to do that long term, and they're not going to be able to sustain any sort of profit to carry them through for a couple years. So they'll probably, like you said, just sell for a few live streams and then fizzle out real quick.
Yeah, I think that's right on point. I feel if you don't have a connection or if you don't have a steady income of product, right, and especially at a solid price where you can turn a profit, I can see how that fizzles out very, very quick. It's interesting you said Ace Hardware. It's I have a buddy of mine, Joey. Joe, if you listen, and shout out to you, bud. He's a big Pokemon collector too, and he was telling me this today, and I didn't believe it. I really didn't. I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna stop you there. I know Aldi got into it. I know Dollar Tree's got it, but Ace Hardware. So it's just everyone's trying to get a piece of the action, so it's getting tougher for people. How much more does that like for you with your distributor make sure that that's just solidified like no other to make sure you're always being taken care of? Like, how does that work for you?
Well, they only can make sure I'm being taken care of, to an extent.
Mm.
Even I've been cut on all of my allocations, so the amount of boxes that I was able to obtain around this time last year was just hundreds. I could order 3 or 4, 500 boxes, and it was easy. On set release, I would get them. These days, I mean, I might get 60 boxes, so I've been
Wow.
cut pretty heavily too. So
Wow.
it's everybody right now. So that's what a lot of the streamers that you see right now, they're probably picking up boxes for a little bit higher than distribution if they know like another wholesaler where they can buy in just big massive quantities for a little bit cheaper than they normally would. I mean, that's a way that a lot of them are getting through. But yeah, so the key is you really gotta stick it out through this boom period, and you will then be able to get in with, distributors, but you have to wait when the hype dies down, it becomes a little less popular, and all the bigger companies, like the local Ace Hardware shops, they won't be asking for it anymore. Once Pokemon comes out with a couple sets that aren't as popular and a lot of the interest kinda wanes away, that's usually what happens, and that's your chance to get in. But at the same time, a lot of people will lose interest as a seller too because it'll be hard. It'll be a lot harder to sell those new set releases. A lot of times they'll release and you won't even be able to get MSRP for them if it's not a super hype set. But that is really the only way to get in, and the only way to keep going long term is to get in at one of the low points as opposed to a boom.
Makes sense. Do you feel right now, seeing a couple booms, do you feel this is one of the longest ones or one of the biggest ones, or do you feel it's on pace with maybe some smaller booms
It's
and
definitely been carrying on for a lot
yeah.
longer than I thought. The previous one, yeah, you mentioned I have seen a couple booms. There was a very interesting one that happened in June of 2023.
Hmm.
It was called the June. Or we just nicknamed it the June boom. It was exclusive to Japanese. A lot of those cards took off. A lot of the booster boxes took off, and it was only for a period of about 2 months.
Oh wow.
And then it just completely died, which is kind of odd. A lot of people point towards manipulation over in both China and in Japan,
Hmm.
but it was definitely a an anomaly. So there was that one, and then I guess the one before that was 2020. So
Hmm.
it's only been a couple, and this one has definitely outpaced 2020, or I guess it's right on par. So
What
yeah,
did you? Hmm.
I think it's right on par with 2020, or it's about to beat it. I don't know. We'll see.
What did you originally think? If you were to think back while this was starting, this recent boom, what did you? How long did you think this one was going to last? If you were to ballpark it.
I don't even try to speculate on that.
Mm.
What I did learn from the previous boom was if there's something that's selling that you can make a profit on as a business, like go ahead and sell that. As a collector, there's stuff that I have for my collection that I'm going to hold on to and I'm not going to sell even if it booms. I don't care if it goes back to zero. That's part of my collection because I love it.
Yeah.
But as a business, there's inventory that you're sitting on that you can probably profit on right now. Just go ahead and like sell it. Like a lot of people will hold on to it and be like, "Nah, man, this box in 6 months, I'm telling you, it's going to be like $200 more a box, and I'm going to be able to profit a lot more." Like, there's no guarantees that's going to
Yeah.
happen, and you got to be looking out for your longevity, and you got to make that money while you can. And there was during the last 2022, I guess, was when everything started to slowly trickle back down. There was a lot of inventory that I was sitting on where I looked back and I was like, wow, I should have offloaded that. But I was thinking that it was going to keep increasing at the time and it didn't. And looking back, I was like, definitely a learning experience. And next time this happens, I'm going to sell it all. Anything that I could profit on, I'm going to sell it. And so that's what I've been working on doing this time around.
I think that's great to learn from something like that, especially the keyword profit. Um, people, you could really translate that to anything, but for instance, the first time I ever heard it was just like in stocks, right? Or I don't know if you remember the whole game stonk thing where GameStop
Oh,
was
yeah.
shared. And I had a buddy of mine who had told me because I had bought in a little bit and it was going to make quite a profit, but I kept sitting on it. Right. And he said, you don't want to be left with the bag, hey, being held the bag.
Oh yeah.
If you have a profit, just make it profit. It's more money than you had yesterday, right? Like,
Right.
even if it were to skyrocket at some point, you still made your profit at the end of the day,
Yep.
you know? Uh,
Exactly.
so I think it's a smart move as a business owner, your business side of things with Pokemon cards on your collecting side that when you're making a profit, it's going well, just go for it. Like you don't got to keep it sealed. That you have your own already for that.
Yeah, and there's different levels of business. Like there's people that have been in the hobby, been in like as a business for 7, 10, 14 years. Obviously, it's going to look a little bit different for them. They're sitting on a lot more capital where they can take more risk. They can sit on a lot more inventory. But for someone like myself that's only been in business for 2, 3, 4 years, like the first few years, you just got to keep churning and turning it over and turning it over and building up your capital to get to that point where you can take on additional risk and sit on more inventory over time.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Um, for Let me ask this for you, just because I'm curious. I don't want to lose this question. What is your biggest, or what is your most prized possession of a card, of a Pokemon card that you have now in your collection? Would you say? Oh, here we go. Here we go. If you don't have your camera on now, guys, go ahead and at least take a look at this because we're gonna get a nice little showing of it.
This one came from Hawaii. I went to the Pokemon World Championship and
Holy smokes! Holy
ended up with the
smokes!
opportunity with there is the person that took the fourth place trophy in the TCG division. We were there's a little trade room that goes on every year at the World Championship where you can trade different cards. You can only trade. You can't. You're not supposed to sell.
Okay.
But you can go in and trade with other people that are in the hobby. And I was in there with a binder and a couple other slabs. And there was a gentleman and his son that were sitting at a table. And it was actually my brother originally that went over and started talking to him and asking about one of the cards they had on their table. And they just asked him if he was interested in something bigger. And he was like, sure. And they showed him the trophy that they had just won. So it's a number 4 trainer trophy that's only awarded to 12 different people that come to the World Championship. Last year, the World
Sheesh.
Championship was in Hawaii. And so yeah, that was 2024 number 4 trainer. And brother ended up sending me a text message like, hey, just came across this dad and his son that just won the 4th place trophy, if you're interested. And so I ran into the convention center. I ran upstairs and took a look at it and ended up working out a deal to purchase that from him. And I sent it off to PSA and got graded a gem mint 10, which is pretty uncommon to see. A lot of times these trophy cards aren't the best print quality. They
Yeah.
did ramp up the print quality for 2024 apparently because there are a couple other PSA 10 copies out there.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a pretty big card. I mean, definitely a chunk of change that I would not typically spend on a Pokemon card, but that's probably one of the bigger ones that I have right now.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's a beautiful looking card too, and it's your main Pokemon out there, Pikachu, right there with the trophy
Heck
holding
yeah,
it.
man.
What would you say the value is of that card today?
It's hard. There's only 4 copies of it. I know there's one that sold for 40K. There's rumors of another one that sold for 55K. So anywhere from 40 to
Sheesh.
50 is where I would put it. I'm gonna be at Anaheim World Championship. Mid-August is when it goes down. So yeah, a little over a month away. So I'll probably be able to get a little bit more feel of what people might be willing to spend for it then. I might try to trade it. I might try to sell it. We'll see. But yeah, that's where I would ballpark it at least right now in this market.
Sheesh. Wow, that's a big number on a card, guys. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. Do you think you're gonna have, let's say you'll say you're at the convention, all right, you're at the convention, someone's talking to you, they see this card, they're saying, okay, yeah, I'm willing to buy it for you. Do you think even with the right value on the card, do you think you'd have a hard time letting go of it?
Of this one in particular, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I've had it for a year now. I kind of wanted to to kind of gauge my interest. You can't really gauge your interest on a trophy card until you actually have it in your possession and like put forth the capital in order to acquire it. And now after having it for a year, I think this ride's been fun, but that's a lot of opportunity that I would have otherwise. There's a lot of awesome vintage booster boxes out there
Oh
that
yeah.
I can potentially purchase and have the opportunity to open live on stream for other people or for myself. And I don't know, I just see a lot of other opportunities that I could experience if I were to trade this card for something else. So I don't
Yeah.
think it would be too hard letting go of it at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had it for a little over a year now. It's been awesome sitting back there showing to different people, both on streams and showing people at conventions and just having the conversations about the different world championships that I've been to, not only last year, but the year before that in Yokohama, Japan, and all the
Wow.
awesome times that went with that. So it's definitely a sweet conversation piece and one that I've really enjoyed having in my collection. But yeah, if the price is right,
Yeah.
hit me up.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it makes sense when you explain it too, right? Because it does. Oh, it's a chance to open other opportunities for you. And I'll tell you, the one that really sprung interest is getting one of the older vintage booster boxes. Those are the absolute funnest ones to watch you do. Just in
Oh
general
yeah.
to watch that, because I mean, this is it. These are the vintage cards that we grew up with. These are the ones that we remember, and the value of them are crazy. So it's like a suspenseful thing to see, what are you going to pull? What holo are you going to get? And then when they get the Charizard, or for me, big fan of Blastoise, it's cool. It's really cool to see.
Oh yeah, each one has its own identity too. Not only with the booster box, because you have the different chase cards from each set, each booster box, but then you take it down to like each individual booster box. They kind of have its own identity. Like some of them are just really spectacular, gorgeous mint condition with pristine corners and a perfect intact seal that's going around the box, keeping it sealed. And so it's like, oh wow, this is going to be a really, really tough box to open live on stream because as a sealed collector, this is something that I would really want to see in my collection just like forever.
Yeah.
But then when you actually go inside the box and you see what's inside of it, it takes on its new identity because there's 12 hollows inside each one of these vintage boxes. And it could be two Charizards, three Charizards, and like could be the whole big three. It could be like the whole big three and a Mewtwo and an Alakazam, which would just be like mind blowing,
Yeah.
the potential of hits that you could take from it. So it's really fun to see which it's kind of fun to see like each individual box take on its own little identity and which of the chase cards having come out of each vintage box. So those are always a lot of fun to open live on stream.
Do you ever have people who have gotten lucky with you doing a stream and have gotten a nice holo, like an Alakazam or a Charizard, ever reach out to you, whether it's social media or email, just like saying, "Oh man, like this is so awesome. I really appreciate things." Like, you ever got messages after something like that?
Oh yeah. So I'll post up to the Instagram pretty much after every big vintage pull. Well, a lot of times we'll get in my DMs just like the experience they had, the opportunity, just the hype leading up to it, and then that moment where they actually pulled that chase card live on stream, and that just made their day, made their week. And doing a lot of them, it's with their kids. They're watching the stream
Oh,
with their
so cool.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having that opportunity to connect with their kid and like put these collections together over time with them, and actually hitting that card that they may have been chasing along with their kid for quite a bit of time, and finally pulling it. So that's awesome that I get to be a part of that too.
I love that answer, man. Do you have a are you married? Do you have a family of your own?
I am. I have a lovely wife, and we have one daughter. She's 10 months old.
I gotta imagine how cool it's gotta be. You had mentioned earlier that being your own boss, you get to work your own hours, right? So I'm assuming that like you get to be with your family quite a bit. I think it's probably one of the biggest blessings I'm sure with doing this is that you schedule things out and you kind of have this routine I'm sure now set with the time you spend with your child, with your wife, family as a whole, right?
Oh yeah, I was actually thinking about this the other day because the amount of time I would have been able to spend as like a full-time pharmacist, like with with my wife and with my baby girl. She just started crawling literally like 2 3 days ago,
Oh, cool.
and so I really wouldn't be able to put in like have the time to spend with her, just like actually physically and then also just mentally. A lot of days I would come back from work as working 12-hour days and just like not even have the ability to be present in the moment because there's so many other things, so much stress on my mind. But the
Yeah.
other day, yeah, just chilling with my girl, like watching her crawl around the room, just like, man, this is just incredible being able to have this time, this to watch her grow up and like to take the first few steps as a 10-month-old little girl. Like it's been an incredible opportunity. I'm very, very blessed and very thankful for it.
Such a cool answer, man. I love that so much for you. I mean, I think you hit for sure what others would say the jackpot in terms of what you're able to do career wise and then what you're able to do, life wise, right? So you have this great work life balance now because this is your own. And it's got to be a great feeling knowing that you built this to the ground up, right?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I mean, knowing that I built it up, it's also there is a level of I don't know the exact word to characterize it, but I mean, I am at the end of the day, it's all up to me. And so if we go on vacation and if we take some time off, and then like obviously there's no income, and so there's a
Mm,
lot of extra added pressure because I mean, during times when it's not necessarily booming, you might not be able to sell a box of cards like they are selling today, and so it might be get a little bit tougher, might get a little bit more stressful, and so you got to be a planner and got to be willing to build up that capital to get you through some of the times where cards aren't selling as good, and then have you give you the opportunity to like take a week off and go on vacation. Otherwise, I mean, there is a little bit of stress going on just knowing that you do have to be there present every day running streams like multiple times a week in order to keep it going forward, to keep the income coming in.
that's a great I appreciate that take and that insight there too. So it just seems like there are also things that people need to be aware of too that goes into this in terms of the amount like you said, I think it's perfect, right? You're the sole employee, sole owner, sole employee. So if you're not doing stream, you're taking time off, where's the money coming from? And
Right.
I think I answered my own question on this, what I was going to ask you right now, but I was going to ask you, have you ever thought about having an individual do streams for you while you're away? Like almost having not necessarily a part-time employee, but someone who'd be willing to do this for you so you could focus on other things or step away for a bit. But I imagine that might be hard, especially in times of not boom season. If it's not booming as much, it's like, how do you afford someone to do that, right?
Yeah, and I did at one point I had a couple of streamers for me, and that was more on the whatnot
Okay.
side of things. And I do see myself building out a team of streamers eventually, but the platform right now that I'm on with the eBay Live platform, technically it's still in the beta phase. There's a
Okay.
couple issues that prevent a multiple team from multiple locations to come together and stream. There's a couple setbacks there to where that's holding me back. So it's going to be a little bit more time to where I can actually build a team that's streaming remotely. So as of right now, it's pretty easy to do if you're all in the central location and shipping orders out from the same location. But if it's like multiple streamers that are in like multiple states, it gets a lot more complicated with the way things are set up right now. So once they get to a point where it's a lot easier to stream remotely from several locations and actually ship out from several locations, then at that point I will be building out like a team of streamers. But for right now, I mean, things are going pretty good by myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will ask me like why I haven't really like taken the opportunity to scale. And I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's anytime you scale, you take on a lot of additional risks. And so right now, what I'm doing is just trying to build up enough capital to where I can eliminate all my debt, eliminate all my risk, and give myself a better runway to one point where once the platform is optimized to where I can actually start building out a remote team of streamers, then I will do so, which should be here in the next pretty shortly. Maybe within the next year, I'll probably really starting trying to ramp things up with a team of streamers.
That's awesome to hear, man. Well, props to you. I think that's going to be great to see when that unveils. So, this is a great segue into what I like to do towards the later end of the show here as we're starting to wrap up. I like to ask people, Chris, two things. First one is the fun one is I like to look at the 10-year vision. So I usually will ask guests, where do you see yourself in 10 years? What are you envisioning? What are you hoping for to happen and see for yourself or for others around you?
Oh man, this hobby changes so much. Just even this time last year is such a different landscape. It's so tough. A 10-year perspective. I would see myself, I'm still definitely going to be streaming. I'm not sure if I'll be doing it 5 times a week or four
Hmm.
or 5 times a week like I am right now. Like I'll definitely have a team of streamers. I'll probably be more of in like a management position to where I'm just making sure that things are going well with like a team of streamers, but I'll definitely still be doing it because I really do love connecting with people and streaming, maybe like on a weekly or twice a week sort of thing.
Sure.
And I'm kind of a busybody. I'd rather be doing something, especially with cards throughout the day instead of just like sitting on the couch watching TV. So I always got to be doing something, especially with cards. I'll definitely be doing some more streams, but, as far as, man, 10 years, that's quite a ways to go. That's I would just say managing a team of streamers and also doing it like, maybe some of the headline streams with, like, vintage box breaks, some of the bigger breaks, some of the, I don't know, maybe, like, once a month, once a week type of thing that's where I see myself.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I think that'll happen for sure. I don't even think it should happen. It will happen for you, man. I'm telling you, if you're continuing to bring out that type of atmosphere in the streams and you get people on your side here who are streaming for you and you're managing them who have that same type of feel, because I'm sure you're going to vet them pretty solid to make sure this is someone that you want on there. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at the amount of streamers you're going to have at that time. Last question for you, Chris. For someone, I'm sure there's are been plenty of good insight already within the episode and what we've been saying earlier on, but for someone who is wanting to start this path right now, if you gave them a few pieces of advice, what would be the most crucial ones for someone just starting off and wanting to do what you do?
I would say just to really make sure that you enjoy this at the end of the day, because a lot of people come into this and they're not necessarily into the cards, but they like the idea of making a little bit of money just by doing cards, by opening cards live on stream. But you got to really have a passion for it. You really have to have something at one point where you were just fully engaged in a hobby, just ripping packs, putting binders together. Unless that's there, like, you're not gonna really be able to connect with the audience, which is kind of who you are catering to, like these collectors that are putting binders together on a pretty frequent basis. So I would encourage you to I don't know, just let your passion as a collector take hold of you for a couple months out of the year and just really dig into some of these new set releases. Learn as much as you can about the TCG. I mean, it's not only a hobby for collectors; it's also got this awesome, very very in depth a game aspect to it, where people compete on a worldwide stage. So take some opportunity, spend some time learning about the game and what drives people to play the game. Not only play the game, but collect the cards and build up your knowledge base as much as you can about the new set releases and which Pokemon are going to be going into it. And just make sure you can speak to each one of the new set releases so that you can inform your audience and educate them if they were to ask any questions and be that sort of knowledge base that they know that they can go to and rely on anytime that they do have any questions.
I love that, man. I think it's pretty simple. I mean, really, it's make sure you're fully invested in this. You love this because that's what it's going to take to continue going through this. I love that, man. Chris, as we're wrapping up the episode here, any last words, any shout outs, anything you want to put out there?
Nah, man, I really appreciate you bringing me on the channel. It's been an awesome time chatting with you, hanging out, and yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Shout out to all of you that come into the eBay live streams on a weekly basis, coming and hanging out and ripping packs, yourself included. It's been awesome ripping packs and hanging out with you, man. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Likewise, who appreciate you having the time to come on the podcast, share some insight, share some knowledge, give people a little bit more of a story behind you. It's been awesome. I think it's a great convo, and I got to tell you guys, quick little fact here. First stream that I had joined here with Chris while he was doing it. I actually pulled a pretty sick card from the Destined Rivals set. It wasn't the Ultimate Chase card Mewtwo. It was the one before it. It's the it's still Giovanni with Mewtwo. I wish I had it, but I'm getting it graded right now.
Oh, was the golden full art Mewtwo?
No, it was the one. It was the alternate of that. So it wasn't the gold one. It was just like the plain.
Oh yeah. So the full art SR, heck yeah.
Yeah. No, it was awesome, man. So he's got the hot hands, guys. So get in there, visit his stream, visit his store on eBay. It's awesome. Chris, thank you again, my friend. It was a great episode here. I really appreciate it. Guys, the outro music's going out. Just a reminder, that is the band Hannah that does the intro and the outro music for us. Simi Valley, California. Woo, it's getting late for me, guys. A couple good guys out there. Give them a listen. They're awesome. And just a reminder here that all of the information to find Chris on eBay, I'm going to have in the episode description. And Chris, really quick, you want to give them your Instagram handle?
Yeah, it's Weedles_warehouse.
There you go. I'll put in the episode description for y'all too. Thank you guys for another week here. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you.